There's the Dukes of Hazzard car, the A-Team car, Jurassic Park car, Back to the Future car. They're all just referencing movies and TV shows that I liked back in the 80s. My ideas just sort of pop into my head. At that moment, I've just got to go and make it. And if I don't make it, then the time's passed and I'll never make it. I don't know. I work on marine ply with acrylic paints and work out of my garage. I called it Little Dramas because Paul Williams and I were sitting on my back deck and the kids were out there and we're just talking about all the little dramas you have in everyday life. So I thought, oh, Little Dramas, that's a good name. The main themes of my paintings are pop culture, everyday life, my family and kids. A lot of themes in my work are from when I was a kid, back in the 80s, watching a lot of TV, movies like Star Wars, Back to the Future, things like that really resonated with me. And it's weird, my kids are now into Star Wars, so that's kind of good. There's definitely a nostalgia for the past in my work. Yeah. My nan used to have a pink bathroom that was really similar to that when I was growing up. So I think that is why I painted that bathroom like that. When I was young, a lot of older people would say time goes by really fast, and I just think they were crazy, but now I'm older, I realise time really flies.
When you're revisiting those memories of the past, particularly of childhood, they often conjure up, both lovely things, but also some things which aren't so pleasant. And I lost my mother 2 years ago to breast cancer, and a lot of the memories of childhood have mum hovering in the background, if you like. And so the idea of drawing on those memories are both, sweet, but, also can be sad too. Memory tent is made out of doona covers and bed sheets from family and good friends, close friends. So there's a material resonance in there of the family members. And it's meant to simulate the type of cubby house tent that you might make when you're a kid, when you just put two chairs together, throw a broom over it and then throw a sheet over the top. The second one's called When the Lights Come On, and it's meant to allude to the types of way kids will just pull cardboard boxes or bits of ply. Where I grew up, there was, building sites and things like that. Where I live now in the Sutherland Shire, we're right on the edge of the National Park, and so it's a cacophony of noise at dawn. When Mum passed away, I would almost run to the studio and just start to, spend hours and hours and hours and hours just making these tiny little marks, and time gets lost. They're very time-based, they're very slow, they're very meditative. While I'm making them, memories fall in, thoughts fall in, ideas for new work falls in. It's just such a good space to be in, so I can't imagine not having that in my practice now.
The title of my show is One Day Painter You Will Die. It's a reference to what memento mori means, which is that remember that you must die. I guess the presence of death is a kind of motivator to make the most of each day or of your life. It's simply me reminding myself, don't fluff about, get on with the job. I think words have always been in my practice. That's really an acknowledgement of my interest in music. So I visualise a lot through music. So there'll be a background of instruments, but also foregrounded a voice. There's a downtrodden feeling in the studio where sometimes it feels very heavy, much like you're trudging through heavy mud. Difficult, but also sort of something to celebrate as well. The use of bed linen was a kind of incidental thing, which often occurs within my studio practice. The incidentals sort of find their way in and become a prominent part of my practice. My ceramics, I think about the presence of the hand is very evident. So tactile, kind of crude or brutal, but also there's a softness there of like colour choices, but playful, I think.
I've been really researching time and all the paradoxes of time. With the introduction of the virtual world, people have what's been described as parallel time frames, where they exist online but they also exist in the here and now, and so it brings up a question. So this exhibition is like a question: what is certain? What can we hold on to when everything seems to be quite malleable and slipping through different time frames or places? I grew up here. I grew up in Yowie Bay, where my parents still live, and just being so close to nature in the national park, I think, has really influenced me. So I really am interested in plants and nature and looking at them through the seasons, the way they change. I'm using the moving image. I'm working with living plants, working with sculptural, very static materials as well, and it's the relationship between them, the stillness and the movement, and that ephemerality that's all kind of enwrapped in time.
I think having a regional gallery that supports its local artists is hugely important. I've never had the opportunity to use such a large space before, which is quite daunting but also really exciting.
There are parts of the exhibition which are very detailed. People have to step up closer, and there are other times people have to move further away. So I'd really love people just to play and find their own pathway through the exhibition and come back at different times as well, because from the opening night onwards the plants kind of become an artist in themselves. They're going to be transformed by the very nature of what they are.
Yeah, I think humour's a huge part of my work and my home life as well, because you've got to have a sense of humour. If you don't, things are a bit tough. My kids will come up to me and say, "What do you want me to draw?" And I'll say, "Draw me a tiger," and they'll go away for 5 minutes and come back with a drawing of a tiger. It's the best thing you've ever seen, and I'd love to get back to that stage that you just do it and don't think about it so much.
I'm always looking for ways to push the idea of painting. I think that's what this show is in a way. It's a kind of letting go of expectations, and definitely with painting it's been large scale, big text, and trying to get as much punch out of an image as possible. If I hold back and I only give a piece of myself, then if no one responds to that, then you've only got yourself to blame. But if you give it all, or as much as you can, people will relate to you more.